Brace yourselves for possibly the most important transfer window in non-league to legends so far this year, as we try and assemble a squad that might be able to have a bit of a Europa League push next season. Hello, welcome to Club 4, Part 14 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have the summer transfers. Just summer transfers. If you're here for matches, come back tomorrow. If you are here for the season review, go back to the second half of yesterday's video. This is just going to be transfers. We have a bit of a plan and a decent amount of money to enact the plan. We've got £39 million to spend. We've got a little bit of spare wage budget. Not a huge amount, but between the two of those, we've got enough wiggle room, I think, to get some bits done as we need to. And most importantly, we've got a couple of transfers, hopefully, about to go through already. They're loan extensions of players who were so important to that second half of the season Europa League push that we had last season. So Pineda and Mirabella, both their parent clubs, have accepted loan offers for another season. We're just waiting for the players themselves to confirm that they want to come. Caltech's going to be a little bit more difficult. Benfica are keen to get him back in the first team next season. It's a bit of a weird situation with Caltech because he was in their first team before he came to us. For some reason, they let him come, and now they don't really want him to come back to us. But it was the whole, if you offer us enough money, we might. I'm wondering if it might actually... We might try and pursue signing him permanently because he is a very good goalkeeper, very young as well, still only 22 years old, and has the potential to continue to get better. So if we can't get him back on loan, I think we might try and spend a big bunch of cash on Harris Caltech. And the plan from there, looking at our squad and with the players that are leaving as well. In fact, let's look at the players who are leaving first, because we've got a few first team contracts that are expiring that we're not going to be renewing. So if we just filter this by expires this summer. So Aubameyang is already leaving. That transfer is already confirmed. Mendy, I mean, he's 31 now and he's never really been a regular for me, so he's going to be leaving. Johan Larsson is leaving. He hasn't got a club lined up, but at 34 and not really in the team for the second half of the season, he's moving on. And then I think they're the three. There was... Oh, and of course Tainio, who wasn't our player, but has agreed to join Spal, so we're not going to have him back on loan next year. And also loans that are leaving, we're probably not going to renew Velasquez because he never got in our team. Sean Keegan, unless we sell Hall, which I really don't want to. He's unlikely to be back as well. So there's quite a few players who were in and around that first team last season who aren't going to be here next season. So I think what we probably need to be doing transfer wise, and this is what the plan is for the summer, we definitely need another striker. We've got Mitrovic, but we don't have much behind Mitrovic. Aubameyang's going to be leaving. I'm inclined probably to sell Ollie McBurney. He's decent value, 27 years old. If we can get 10 to 15 million pounds for McBurney, I think we can probably reinvest that money in a player who's going to suit our system a little bit better, maybe add a little bit extra to that as well, and try and find some proper competition for Mitrovic. And then behind him, I think probably Thorne and Power as two youngsters are probably okay. We only do a one-striker system. If we've got two Premier League quality strikers and two good youngsters as backup, I think that's probably okay. Wingers, as long as Mirabella comes back, we have our two best players out on the wings, Mirabella and Hall. Keegan's not going to be here, probably, unless we can't find anyone better to replace him. We might end up bringing him back as backup because he can play both sides, as can El Shaarawy as well. So, and we've got Mitrita as well. And Mitrita we might move on, but I don't know. It depends. I'm two minds whether to bring Keegan back or just keep Mitrita knocking around and have them as the four as our wingers. In midfield, I think we probably do still need a couple more bodies here. This is where most of the strengthening needs to take place. Hopefully we're going to have Pineda, but I'm not really confident in any of the rest of the midfield three beyond Pineda. If Purbai is apparently the best that we've got, we know Cullen can't get the job done. Purbai is very hit and miss. Calderon, I think, probably is going to be our starting defensive midfielder unless we can find a really good one. So I think we probably need to bring in a midfielder to go alongside Pineda and probably a better option as a defensive midfielder as well. Keep Calderon and Purbai around as backups. Probably move Cullen on if anyone wants to take him off of us. And Mendy's going to be moving on as well. So might even be an argument to keep Cullen Or maybe bring in 3 midfielders even, who knows. Going further back, I think goalkeepers were fine. As long as we get Kautak. Rinner is a perfectly good backup. Kautak, if we don't get him though, we're going to need a goalkeeper. Centre-backs, we're looking pretty good. Duffy, Mawson, Moore, they're all pretty decent quality. If Velasquez is not going to be here, we probably want to bring in another centre-back. Probably someone a little bit younger, because all 3 of those are in their 30s now. So ideally, we want like a 22-year-old wonder kid. We want... what was the guy we signed for Nuneaton last year? It was a Swedish or Danish guy, really cheap. I can't remember his name. Rem something. You lot will let me know down in the comments. I want him, basically. And then fullbacks, we probably could do... I'm not desperate for fullbacks. I think Brian and Sessegnon are fine. We don't have much behind them, apart from the youngsters that we identified in the last episode. We have got a couple of good youngsters on both sides. If we've got money to spend and we find like a 4-star right back or left back, I'm not against bringing him in. Probably more so on the left-hand side, because Brian is another one who's in his 30s. Sessegnon is still younger and still improving. So maybe a better left back, but we have got that 18-year-old left back who's coming through, who is probably worth some game time at some point. Where is he? Where is he? He's in the under-23s apparently, rather than the under-18s. Paul Bell, this guy, might be a reason why we don't try and replace Joe Bryan, because he's already nearly as good as Bryan and has the potential to be much better than Bryan. So perhaps we just keep him in and around the squad and get him into the first team squad maybe. So plenty of business to be done. It's just going to be a question of whether we have the money to do all of that business. I'm going to try and avoid too much of the never stuff that we've done in the past, mainly because I don't know how long I'm planning on being at Fulham. If we're here at Fulham for the next 2 or 3 years, I don't want to financially cripple us. If we're going for a one-off, let's try and get into Europe and then move on situation, then I could probably be a little bit more fancy with the spensies, but I don't know. We're going to see what presents itself. There isn't a huge variety of player out there for us at the moment. If we have a look at our scouted players in the positions that we're looking at, so let's have a look. We need a defensive midfielder. What have we got? Not a massive amount of choice in the right kind of age group anyway. This guy, maybe, but he's going to be someone who's not good enough now, and he's got potential. Oh, I don't know, actually. Relatively cheap too, but not yet as good as Calderon. But we might re-scout him. When was his last scout report? April. Let's get a more detailed scout report on this guy, because he... Oh, we're already doing it. Oh, you're so clever, Kev. So he might be an option, but it's not like we're blessed with loads of different options in all positions. If we don't get Kautak, goalkeeper, is potentially a little bit of a worry as well. So I'm going to have a little bit of a snoop around all this stuff. We're not going to do a full-on hour-and-a-half transfer special, mainly because I'm still poorly and I don't want to have to edit out an hour and a half of coughs and sniffles. So I'm going to sit here for a little while with my honey and lemon tea, which is delicious and really helping my throat. And I'm probably just going to let you know as and when transfers either come or go, and keep you updated that way, rather than getting into the nitty-gritty of the search process. You kind of know how my searches work by this stage, I think. You don't necessarily need to see it. I'm not going to be going on the player search screen. I'm not going to be rooting through released players from other divisions. I'm literally going to be seeing what comes in on my scout reports, and then probably around about maybe a month's time, maybe about 6 weeks' time, I'm just going to try and sign the best value player in each of the positions that I need to strengthen. Not necessarily the best player, but the best player in our price range in each position. And we'll take it from there. That's the plan anyway. So first big problem of the summer is Benfica aren't interested in letting us have Kautak on loan for another season. So I guess the next port of call is to say how much to actually buy him then. Let's make an inquiry and work from there. I don't want to pay 15 million for him. I don't know, is he worth that? I don't know. Let's see what ballpark they're thinking in at the moment. His value is only showing as 1.9 million, but they could have a crazy idea of how much they want for him. And the board have invested in our youth facilities as well, which is very splendid. Our youth facilities got downgraded, and then they've agreed to spend 2 million quid to bump them back up again to where they were. Are we going to find out what they want for him? No. Who is Ben Randall? Going to the French Youth International Invitation. We've got a good young keeper as well. We've got some decent youth players. I mean, this guy, nearly as good as Rinner already. Potential to be a Premier League goalkeeper in the future. I mean, I'm obviously not going to go with him this season, but there's some good youth here at Fulham. It's tempting to do something a bit more long-term with this team. I think there's a lot of potential here. Is this what is this Man City-Man United game that's happening? Oh, there you go. People are asking about who won the Premier League. Man City won the Premier League by beating Man United. There you go. Now you've seen it. We've got our money through. Splendid stuff. Still not heard about Caltac. Let's wait and see. This is a problem. Who have they got as a goalkeeper? They must have a better goalkeeper than him. Is he there? I don't understand. Oh, no. Okay. I thought they'd loaned out their only goalkeeper. How much money have they got? Are they poor? When they say not for sale at any price, do they mean, oh, you could give us 3 million? No, they're rich. Ugh. Let's make an actual offer and see what they say. I wonder if this is the best route. However, they may be persuaded to reconsider their stance should a much higher offer be received. So, let's say, I don't know, what's £250,000 a month? That's what? £3 million over the course of the year. I'd pay £3 million to have him for another year. We'll pay all of his wages. He'll be a key player. And obviously he'll play in goal. We don't want him to be recalled. Oh, loan cannot be terminated. Does that? I don't understand. Let's take that off. We don't want him to be recalled. Let's make that offer and see if they'll let... I mean, I just want to keep him. Fulham in loan swoop for Harris Caltac. Oh, here we go. Mirabella's in. Mirabella is in, boys and girls. That is a big signing. And as soon as it ticks over to the 1st of July and we officially become next season, I'm going to try and get him in for a further season as well. Try and make it into a 2-season loan if we can do that. Assuming he's got a long enough contract with Napoli, which he has. So we will... I mean, he's on a can be recalled. That's a worry. I should probably pay more attention to this stuff. Pineda probably can't be recalled. Oh no, he can also be recalled even though we're paying for him. I guess if they recall him, we just pay his £9.5 million future fee. But so Pineda and Mirabella are both in. Good. Seems Manchester City scoring lots of goals in big cup games against teams not as good as them is a bit of a theme at the moment. That's right. Kev noticed something from real world football. Those of you watching in the future, they won 9-0 against Burton last night. Kev knows about real football. This is remarkable. I just happened to be on Twitter and wondered why everyone was tweeting about Nigel Clough reloading his Football Manager game. But still, I knew about some real world football and I'm kind of glad we didn't beat Cardiff and make it to that FA Cup final now, because that would have been a hideous thing to experience. Man City do the double. They seem to be quite a good team. Right, I think we need to give up on Caltac now. They've rejected another loan. And I made an offer of 1.9 million, his actual value. They've come back saying, we'll have £70 million. I don't think you will. I really don't think you will. Let's try, I don't know. Not 30, £20 million over 3 seasons. Let the next manager worry about it. I mean, he's a good keeper. We can't spend our entire transfer budget on him, though. The search for a goalkeeper continues. Oh, and by the way, where are we? Somewhere on here. Commercial summary. Fulham fans are nuts, spending all that money on shirts for a player who's only here on loan. But the El Shaarawy transfer almost paid for itself. And in addition to the soft drinks company from last summer, we now have a new sponsorship deal with a financial services company. So presumably you can now buy your beverages on credit, which is marvellous. Plus, the board have taken £10 million out because of our continued financial success. Can I point out, Fulham board, you were massively in the red when I turned up. Where's my £10 million? And we've had to pay a big tax bill as well. But even after all that, the new sponsorship seemed to have balanced out the money that we've spent. We've got a decent amount of money in the bank and a very healthy looking financial projection. So single-handedly turned around the finances of a failing football club. Who knew that I was capable of that? This is probably about the 10th offer we've had for Simon Hall this summer so far. I've got no plans to sell him, and reassuringly, he has no interest in joining the clubs who are making offers for him. But I'm spending a lot of time just rejecting Simon Hall offers at the moment. That's been the summer so far. Here's a weird little story of the summer as well. This has been an odd one to watch unfold because Man City won the double. In fact, Man City have been winning lots of things for a long time. They've got 2 runners-up in the Champions Leagues, but they've won lots of Premier Leagues, FA Cups, lots of other stuff. Their manager, Pep Guardiola, you may have heard of him, He left on the 2nd of June for no real reason. It just looks like he left. He wasn't fired. He didn't go to another job. They've brought in Allegri to replace him. That's not what the interesting thing is. The interesting thing is, 10 days after he left Man City, he turned up at Tottenham. And I don't know why. So he left Man City on the 2nd of June. Oh no, now it's saying he did join Tottenham on the 2nd of June. Now, I'm sure when I looked at this a minute ago, there was a 10-day gap. That might be the painkillers talking, not painkillers, antibiotics, cold and flu stuff talking. It's still a weird move, because Tottenham are 13th in the league, and he's gone there. And then he's taken John Stones with him, and I don't understand. It makes more sense that he's gone directly there, but it still doesn't make a lot of sense. What a weird move. Right, we've ticked over into the new season, and the board are looking for me to avoid a relegation battle this season. I think that's absolutely doable. We'll avoid a relegation battle. We'll just fix those bits as well. Squad selection rules is all good. I think what I'm going to do with Hull to stop the offers coming in, because there's been like 2 more since that last bit I showed you, is just really push up his asking price. I don't know, 75 million, just to stop clubs making offers. We put it to 53 million and people are offering that. I mean, his minimum, in fact, we probably should just make the asking price his minimum fee release clause, I guess, and hope. I mean, there's no Champions League clubs in for him, so actually, let's make it 75 or 74, in fact, because I can't click 5 times. And hopefully that's just going to stop people trying to sign him, because I don't want to sell him and he doesn't want to go. Easy peasy. We can afford to keep him. Signing of the summer, boys and girls. That is a very important deal, and hopefully, along with the new increase in his asking price, will scare clubs away from constantly making offers for him. In fact, no one wants him anymore. Excellent. We've scared everyone away from Hall. Why has he got a negative? What's his one negative? Devastated to have missed out on the England tournament squad. You've never played for England, Simon. Are you that devastated, really? What tournament is it? Anyway, the Euros, I guess. Next one, Simon. Next one. You'll be fine. Probably would have got there if you'd have been playing for a bigger club. And yes, we got rid of his £70 million release clause too. Huzzah! Here we go then, boys and girls. First signing of the summer, Lucas Toussaint, who doesn't speak any English, so we can sort that problem out. We'll welcome him in a minute, but let's have a little look at him. So Lucas Toussaint is the defensive midfielder that we knew we needed. He can just slot straight into the gap in the squad vacated by Tainio, and he's a much better player than Tainio. He can offer some cover in other positions as well, but we've signed him purely to be our defensive midfield player, and what a defensive midfielder he is as well. Massive upgrade on what we've got at the moment. Previously an under-21 international for France, 27 years old, been playing regularly in both Germany and France previously in his career, at nearly 200 career games in top flight football. To me, that feels like a good signing. We have our defensive midfielder, and he was an absolute bargain too. £6 million comes in, already valued at over 14 million. That's a signing. Don't worry, we've not signed him permanently. He's just here on trial. Mainly because I want to just punish him for what he did for us in the FA Cup semi-final. So I've got him in on trial for a week. I mean, he's not good enough to get in our team, but I'm just going to have him like digging trenches and running laps and making everyone's tea. And just basically he's on a week of punishment duty for what he did to us. Can I fine him while he's here on trial? No. 3 more signings have been made then. It's only the 4th of July. There's more on the way too. I'm assembling a dad's army with lots of old men on free transfers. The first couple of which have already arrived. You might have got a bit of a clue on who one of them is because it appeared in the inbox thing. It was a secret one. My director of football made an offer for a goalkeeper, and we've decided to sign him. It's not anyone that I found. I can't take any credit for him. But Paul Lopez is a 29-year-old Spanish former under-21 international, 4-star current ability, so much better than Rinner, equal quality to Kaltak, but with Premier League experience because he's been at Tottenham for the last couple of years. He played a full season for Tottenham 2 years ago, previously of Real Betis and Espanyol as well. We paid a lot of money for him, £18 million. It's a big chunk of our transfer budget, but it does get us a proper Premier League quality goalkeeper. And that was my big worry. We're also paying him an awful lot of money as well. But round of applause to Mike Phelan for finding me a decent goalkeeper. The other 2 are all my own doing, though. Riyad Mahrez, number 1 of the dad's army, just come in to offer some Some backup to Simon Hall, and also some strength and depth on the other side. Not that we're going to need him over the other side, because we've got a lot of players who can play over that side. But really, just to offer some competition to Hall. Not that he's ever going to get in the team ahead of Hall, but probably more important, some tutoring to Hall. I can now set up a little mentoring group that has Mahrez, Al-Shaarawy, Mirabella and Hall in. That seems like a sensible mentoring, tutoring group for me to have up and running. So Riyad Mahrez comes in. Previously, obviously, we know where he was in the UK. He didn't actually stay at Man City very long. They had him for 1 year before they loaned him out to AC Milan, where he's been for most of the last 5 or 6 years. Had a season on loan at West Ham that wasn't particularly spectacular, but as a backup player with bags of experience, Premier League winner, seemed like a bit of a no-brainer. And we also have a backup defensive midfielder, another one of the Dad's Army, Alfred Ndai, 34 now, but relatively cheap. Obviously comes in on a free transfer. We're not paying him very much at all. Can sort of play in some other positions too, but really similar to what we said with Toussaint, he's in to play as a defensive midfielder. We've now got 2 proper defensive midfielders. Ndai, again, loads of experience, some in the Premier League as well with Hull and Wolves, but lots of experience playing in Spain, in France, Turkey. He's played 434 league games in his career, and again, it just allows us to set up a little bit of tutoring, which is good. We are spending way over our wage budget with more players still to come, though, so I'm going to have to do some shuffling around. I think we might be close to done because of signing the goalkeeper and all the old men I want to bring in. But they're good. They're fun old men. We'll enjoy them. We'll have fun with them. Well, most of the Dad's Army deals fell through because they went to other clubs. We had Pjanic, who has gone somewhere. Kyle Walker went somewhere. Azpilicueta has gone somewhere. Who else were we after? There were a couple more. There's a couple more still potentials. I won't tell you who they are yet. But we have done more goalkeeper business. 1 in, 1 out now. Well, 2 in, 1 out overall, but 1 in, 1 out on the 12th of July 2024. Jacob Rinner has gone to Sampdoria for £2.3 million, and we've replaced him with Pontus Dahlberg, who's a 25-year-old Swedish international on loan from Watford for the season. He's better than Rinner, not as good as Lopez, but we now have 2 very good goalkeepers and 2 very good young backup goalkeepers. So we're absolutely well and truly sorted for goalkeepers. I still don't have a striker. I still don't have the midfielder that I want. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get both. Matriza is now gone as well. £10.5 million to Villa. At 29 years old and a player who was never a first choice for me, even down in the Championship. That feels like a cracking piece of business, really. He was on a lot of money too. So that's actually helped out our financial situation again. We're now back in a situation where we have money spare, both in transfer budget and wage budget. The other 3 transfers that we were trying to do have all fallen through. So we're going to have to just... In fact, it was this guy. This was the other one I wanted. Thomas Partey. Mainly because I wanted to sing about there ain't no party like a Thomas Partey. Plus, he's a cracking midfielder. But he's gone to Wolves. You can see some of the other players we've been trying to bring in. Wolves are after Mawson as well. Purby, I think I'm probably going to let him go because we've had offers in the region of £4 million for him. He's not good enough for us, I don't think. Horta is somebody that my director of football has decided he wants to bring in. We've not scouted him, but it's a loan, and I tend to let my director of football do what he wants with loans. And he's been playing regularly in Serie A, so he's not really a player we need. He's an attacking midfielder, but I guess he can play central midfield as well. He might end up being a superstar, in which case, forget it was anything to do with my director of football. I'm taking all the credit for him. We've also got Curro hopefully leaving the club, who's just a drain of money. I don't know why Steven Gerrard ever signed this man. He is not good enough, and we're giving him 10 grand a week to not be good enough. So there's still potential transfers are happening. If we can get rid of Purby and Curro, bring in Horta, then we're a little bit closer to having the midfield that I want, with potentially something in the region of £15 million and maybe £50,000 to £60,000 a week to go out and try and find that striker. Although McBurney's still here and there doesn't seem to be any interest in him, so we might not get a striker after all. We will see. 2 of those 3 moves are now finalised. Curro has gone to Hercules. That's important. Just gets him off the books. And Andre Horta is in. And I tell you what, this policy of letting my director of football do my loan signings for me, it seems to be working rather well. We're paying this guy next to nothing. I know he's an attacking midfielder, which we don't really use. We do have the option to use one if we wanted to, but even in central midfield, he's as good as Pineda, as good as Calderon, as good as Toussaint. I think that's another very good signing from a director of football who knows his loans, clearly. How's that sorted our finances? I mean, look, we've got money to spend. Can we find a striker in the remaining 3 weeks of transfer window? That's what it's all about now. Watch me go and buy a right back. I'm starting to worry that Mike Phelan's going to put me out of a job because he seems to be better at transfers than I am. We've now signed Tiémoué Bakayoko on loan from Barcelona for the season, paying him not a huge amount of salary. That's the midfield sorted then, I guess. He's done it again. I've brought in what I think is a great midfielder, and then he brings in a better one on loan. This is the Mirabella situation all over again. I don't know how he fits into the... I mean, I guess we're going to play with 2 defensive midfielders and an attacking midfielder. Change the system up completely. But, I mean, the calibre of this guy, age 29, over £100 million worth of transfers in his career, played for Monaco, Chelsea, Schalke, Barcelona, Arsenal. He's the kind of player that we want to be signing if we're going to get into Europe. It's just not the exact player that I wanted, really, which I guess is the issue with letting my assistant manager do his thing. We do still have a little bit of money left. Not a huge amount, but a little bit. But we don't have much time, and I don't think we're going to find a striker. If Mike Phelan's listening, if he'd like to find me a striker to bring on loan, I don't even know if we can have any more loans. How many more loans are you allowed? We've got, in addition to the 2 that were already here, 3, 4, we've got 5 loans at the club now. That must be the limit, surely. I don't know what the limit is. In other news, Purby turned down all potential offers to other clubs. I think he had 4 or 5 clubs that he was discussing a £4 million move to. And then my assistant manager immediately said, raise his asking price to 20 million. So we're perhaps not going to sell Purby after all. This is our squad then, as it looks at the moment. So we're sorted for goalkeepers. It would be nice to have one more centre-back maybe. Although I guess Bakayoko can play there if need be. I don't know how good he is at centre-back. Okay, he's a natural centre-back. Well, in that case, I'll probably just play him there. He's 6'2", natural centre-back. That's where he plays. Problem solved. So actually, we're sorted at centre-back, and I can still play Toussaint in midfield. Excellent stuff. So Bakayoko's now a centre-back for us. So we're sorted for centre-backs. Sessegnon and Brian as our full-backs. They're not world beaters, but we do have promising youngsters behind them. Bell, Unsworth. I don't think I've shown you Steve Unsworth before, but this is Steve Unsworth. He's come through our youth system. We also have, where is he? There was one more as well who's going out on loan, and I can't remember his name. Cody Drama, who, I mean, he might not get the job done anymore, down to 6th choice. But we do have Rodney Pearce as well, who we looked at the end of last season. So I'm a little bit loath to sign any more fullbacks because we've got promising youngsters coming through in that position. Defensive midfield, we're absolutely sorted. Toussaint, Bakayoko, Calderon, Undai. Kind of feel like I didn't need to sign Undai now, who already seems to be on the decline and is 4th choice. Does anyone want to sign? I mean, it's not... I have sold players that I've signed in the same transfer window as I've signed them before. I am tempted to move him on immediately. We'll perhaps keep him until Christmas for his experience. Central midfield, Pineda, Horta. They're going to be our starters. Cullen, Calderon, Toussaint. None of them really... I mean, it would be nice to have another really good, proper central midfielder. We've got a lot of good defensive midfielders. If we could maybe move Undai on and replace him with a proper central midfielder, that would be nice, but not essential. We've got Mirabella, Hall, El Shaarawy, Mahrez as wide midfield players, plus other players who can play there. And then Mitrovic, McBurney as our strikers, Thorne and Power as backups. It's looking like a good squad. I think we're a real top quality striker away from a European qualification place. Can we find him in the week or so we've got left? Despite a successful summer and an 8th place finish last year, the media still think we're going to be in a relegation battle. Maybe not quite down with this bottom 5, but we're the next worst, and there's a big gap odds-wise to the group a little bit above us. I still think we should be able to finish top half again. The media seems to disagree. This isn't ideal, especially because Mirabella's going to miss the start of the season because he's away at the Olympics. We don't really have a left-hand side for the first couple of weeks of the season. I guess we're going to be playing Horta out there, probably... problems. For those of you asking about a potential new job, there have been a lot of manager movements in the Premier League this summer. In addition to the Guardiola going to Tottenham and Man City hiring a new manager, there's also been new managers at Wolves, Watford, Liverpool, Chelsea, Brighton. Not one of those clubs have even offered me an interview. We're going to be at Fulham for a while. I've not been offered a single interview the whole time I've been here, despite overperforming. So don't expect a job change anytime soon. Transfer window is closed. There was a couple more pieces of business. Liam Thorne and Luca Ashby-Hammond, young goalkeeper and striker, have both gone out on loan. My director of football decided we needed yet another loan and has brought in a left back. I mean, he's a decent one, Borna Sosa. 3-star current ability, slightly better than Joe Bryan. I'm still inclined to favour Paul Bell, I think, unless this guy gives me a strong reason not to. And then I finally did find my striker. The only problem is he couldn't get a work permit. We've signed him anyway, just because he was so cheap. He's only cost us £675,000. I think for that kind of price, he's worth a gamble that he might get a work permit at some point. He's already as good as Mitrovic and McBurney, with the potential to be much, much better than they are. I don't know if he's officially a wonder kid. It doesn't mention it. He's unflappable, though. I tried to send him straight out on loan, but nobody was interested. So I guess he's just going to sit in our... I mean, he's on a 4-year contract. He can just sit in our reserves and we'll try and get him a work permit every 3 months. My hope is that because he's Colombian, that makes it a little bit more likely that he'll play international football, even if he's not playing for us. Obviously, if he was Brazilian, we wouldn't stand a chance. Colombian, maybe. I mean, he's gone down as a major transfer for Colombian football. I don't know if he's on their top players list yet. He's not. But I'd like to think at some point in the next year he breaks into the Colombia team, at which point we should be able to get him a work permit. That's the thinking. All of which brings us to the end of the transfer special. I think that is a pretty good summer. We've spent 25 million quid, brought 13 million pounds back in, brought in a lot of players that have improved our squad, cleared out some deadwood, and we've still got money to spend in January. We're still well within budgets, and this is the team that we're going to be able to put out for the first game of the new season in tomorrow's episode. There are a few injury worries, and we already looked at our Showery. Simon Hall also picked up an injury and is out for the first couple of weeks of the season. McBurney's going to be out for the first few weeks of the season as well. And Dye is just recovering from injury, so he's not fit enough to play. Mirabella, not off at the Olympics, though. I don't think I understand how Olympics work, because he was called up. He did spend most of the summer away on international duty. Are the Olympics finished, maybe? So it would be the under-23 squad, or is he about to go again? So under-23 squad. The Olympics are already done. Excellent. So Italy got knocked out fairly early, so Mirabella's back, so we don't have to shuffle the midfield around too much. And I think that looks like a much, much stronger team than we finished last season with. The fact that we're able to have the likes of Mawson, Calderon on the bench, Dahlberg as well is a good player to have down on the bench. Obviously, once these players get fit again, that bench gets even stronger with the likes of Mahrez joining it. I'm excited. I think we've got a good season ahead of us. Let me know down in the comments what you think of the summer transfers. Am I going to regret not signing a proper striker? Or what would you have done differently? All the usual stuff. But for now, if you have enjoyed that video, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.